just show how I've been flying this thing and just how stable it is when I fly it. I'm using the RD290 transmitter, and you can see hopefully you can see the hexacopter. We're going to go ahead and arm it and give it a whirl. There it is. You kind of see I'm missing one of the legs that fell off in the maiden flight, but I'm going to be eventually replacing those with some 3D printed feet. But it's nice and steady, which I really enjoy. Got a lot of kick to it as well. It's fairly windy out right now. You may be able to hear the wind on the camera, but even despite that, it's fine. It's not really moving around a whole lot on me. So pretty agile, nimble. Definitely got some pep to it. I'm using a 3S. I think it's a 1500 millihour battery. I probably get about 10 minutes or so. I've also got a buzzer on here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a low voltage buzzer, and it starts beeping eventually after I wear the battery out. It'll start giving me an alarm. I think it's maybe, I don't know, 3.6 or something, 3.7 volt, somewhere around there or so. But yeah, look at that, nice and smooth. You know, ideally you want to probably be in a little bit bigger area when you're flying, but I'm pretty safe, being pretty careful with this one. And again, I just wanted to get it out and do a couple quick videos to show its capability without. Something else I want to point out is, as you may be able to see on the camera, hopefully, I'm trying to bring it up here, is in the very front you can see the LEDs there, so I'll bring it back a minute. That's really nice, especially evening, or if you have it up high, you can always see the orientation of where your hexacopter is. I also have the black propellers in the back and the green in the front, so that also lets you see, you know, at a glance where your front and your back are. Ooh, that's a little close. So yeah, anyway, little tricks like that help. I also have the battery mounted fairly well, I think. It's not moving. I've got the Velcro strap on there. I've also got a zip tie holding the cable, so it's angled up, which I like, because then you don't have to worry about anything like a propeller or something hitting your cable. Now, so far I've only lightly crashed the hexacopter, but the propellers that I have on there, they're the Dow Unbreakables. I think they worked out really well. Oh, there's my beeper. I'm going to go ahead and land her, so you can kind of hear. You'll notice with these low voltage alarms, they're going to start kicking in. I'll show it here in a minute. Yeah, I'm trying to get it to kick in again. But generally, when you're doing a little more aggressive flying, they're going to make some noise. Again, sometimes you'll notice the performance of the hexacopter or quad or whatever you're flying. It's going to start to degrade a little, like when you give it throttle. I'm not really getting that yet, but you will tend to notice that. Let's see. Might have been a false alarm. It might not be quite at the point. The other thing that by default is set up, I'm not going to necessarily show it here, but if I were to power off my receiver, or if I were to lose signal, my hexacopter would pretty much just die out. It'll cut the power to the props right away and disarm it. So that's a nice fail-safe. I think by default on OpenPilot and CC3D boards, that's what you're going to get. I'll just go ahead and do it. So boom. So you can see. So if I were to, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on. Even if I were to turn it back on. Another good thing to do is to get a lot of practice in. This is a little too small of an area for me to feel comfortable, but one technique, and I do it with my Hubsan all the time, one technique is to fly figure eights. you're basically gonna, you know, go around, kind of yaw, come back, go again. That was a pretty pathetic one, but you know, again, I don't have a whole lot of space here, but you get the idea, and you just do those until you're absolutely tired of doing them, and you can show that you can control it, or that you feel that you can control it really well. And at that point in time, once you've got control and can fly figure eights well, that's a good time to start doing FPV, or you know, going to the next, whatever you want to do next. I'm still on the same battery. It's probably been, I'm guessing, a good 8-10 minutes. The low voltage alarm has not kicked back in, so it must have been a false alarm earlier. That does sometimes happen. I've had these batteries for a while too, so it's possible that maybe one of the cells isn't completely balanced. Oh, there it goes. Alright. There, now we're definitely down. So, anytime it does that, that means it's probably a good time to come back in and land. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There we go. And before you, once you disarm, before you go to pick up the quad, I like to disarm it, and then I just check with the throttle, make sure it's truly disarmed. One of the LED lights is lit up, so that means you're definitely in that range where you want to lower or quit flying the quad or the hexacopter. And you probably also noticed I have a rubber band tying this, or connecting it right to the battery sitting on top. If I do have a crash, it's probably not going to go too far. The other thing is I like to keep it mounted here, because if you don't, maybe you just leave it loose on this balance plug. That's going to be a problem, because it's going to potentially move around, and then you could have a propeller slice through it, which would probably be, yeah, like this back one. That could definitely happen, and you don't want that. It's going to cause some problems and damage your stuff. Other people, I've seen them mount them somewhere within their hexacopter or quad. I probably have room somewhere to do that, but maybe above, if I could get a little more room above my receiver here, that wouldn't be a bad spot for it. But it's a must-have. The other thing, if you have a Naze board, those have built-in the ability to put a buzzer right on the board, so that's an even better way to go. Then you don't have to have this extra piece mounted. The other thing you always want to check before you flight, or maybe every few flights, would be how are your screws doing in your motors. One thing that I mentioned in the build video, oh, this is interesting. See, good thing I checked it. So it looks like I'm missing a screw out of this motor. All the other ones are fine. I did have, I already lost a landing gear, as I mentioned, on my maiden flight. Actually, I think it went here. But I'm going to put I found these 3D printed feet. Maybe I'll put them in the comments. But the idea is to put, you're going to put a nylock nut on them, so that way you don't lose these. But everything else has been staying on there. At one point I also had my receiver kind of slipping around. I ended up putting some Velcro on that, so that's staying put. Okay, just in case you're wondering, I'm using these Electrifly lipos. They are 15 milliamp 30C. And the only downside that I've really found of these are that you can only charge them at 1.5 amp. That's what they recommend here. That takes about an hour, maybe 45 minutes to an hour to fully charge. Then I also have the Velcro on the back, and the Velcro is what sticks to the top of the hexacopter. And then I have that strap that secures it down that I showed earlier. So, but these are really high quality batteries. I'm getting probably a good 10 minutes of flight on mine, so I'm pretty happy with that.